Cimoooooooo! What's going on, guys? It's Cimoooooooo here at Pro Play Tour Dallas, and who are we with?
I am Alex Bastian.
And what did you do?
I got third yesterday with Madolche's and got top 16 today.
So why'd you decide to play this deck?
Shiny, it's fun. Wanted to play something different, so it was just something unique. And actually today a lot of people were playing different decks, so yeah, it was really fun.
It's good. All right, well, let's see what you got.
All right, so starting off with the monsters, we got the three obvious Madolche. It's basically, it just searches the other main combo cards, but it's a good starter card. No complaints there, pretty basic. Next card, pretty also important, is Angeli. It's basically a Lone Fire Blossom for the deck, so it's also good at starting up. But the main important card that's really good starting off with is Petting Noir.
A relatively new one.
Yes. So for those who don't know about it, the first effect is if I don't have any monsters in the grave, I can special it from the hand right off the bat, and then if it's special period, special from the deck a Madolche card and reduce its level by 1. And so this was very MVP in the deck. A lot of people would Ash the Madeline, and then I would just special this from the hand anyways, and then combo off after that. So it was really good. Really MVP. I liked it a lot. Next card is the Messenger Gelato. You're not supposed to draw this, and I drew it a lot today, so that was unfortunate. But you special from the deck to search your spells and traps, essentially. And then the other two is Hoot Cake, which you're also not really supposed to draw and special from the deck. You special it along from Petting Noir and Angeli. So, and then the one of is the Pudding Cess. And so you special this from Petting Noir if you want a level 4 and combo off from that. But there's lots of different variations of how to pop off with the deck, which is also really nice. So that's it for the Madolche mantra line. The rest is just basically generic one-offs. So in this case, I went 3 of Kaiju's, Game of Steel specifically. So initially, the deck had more Kaijus in it, just so I can just go in second. But I was realizing people were also trying to go more second of in this tournament, so I decided to just have this just in case if they wanted to go second or go first, just so I can be lenient with what they have, because I didn't want to break with just only Kaijus going first and then pass. So I just wanted to make sure that I had other cards that I can play around whatever they want to do. So, and then for the other 3 ofs, just 3 Prankatops. Really good today. Sometimes it was bad against Thunder Dragons, obviously, but everything else, it was pretty clutch. Helped me just grind out the games just to do extra damage that I needed to do. But that was mostly all for this. I believe it was 20 monsters. And then we're going on to the spells. You just have the one-ofs. This is what you search off with Messenger Gelato. Lots of people, they like to play more than one of both of these, either or. But today I really wanted a second Chateau a lot of games, just for the grind out games. But usually it's fine just playing one of each because you only need to search it for a combo. It's a preference to have one or more of the other. But that's all you really need, and after you search these 2, you don't really need Messenger Gelato anymore.
Please let us know. Thank you.
The 3
and last call.
Cyclone. So this came in really clutch today.
Thank you.
Mostly just because initially this was Twin Twister, but seeing how Orcrest can just protect themselves from everything, this was just the better option. And so I really liked it a lot. And then the other MVP was Caught by the Grave. Just one, this deck is linear, so it loses to hand traps a lot. And I mean a lot, so this helps either with hand traps and or Orcrest, so it's just very lenient on that. And so only 8 spells. You only really need those, I feel like. When it comes to other cards, you don't. When it comes to spells, you don't really need anything else other than those. And then for going on with the traps, 3 impermanents. Obviously, really broken this format. You know, helped me out a lot, especially with going second and or first. And so, I mean, nothing else to say about that. You just gotta be smart about where you place it. And 3 evenly. Actually, I don't think I used this at all today.
Really?
Because 1, I mean, it was mostly, I only played a couple of back row decks, but even then I never drew it whenever I was playing them. But the majority of the decks were just, they only had 1 set and a lot of monsters on the field, so with the negates already. So I had to, with the side, I always sided this out, and I'll show you later, but it was mostly just Kaijus and stuff for those matchups. And so do you wish you sided anything, or do you wish you played anything else in its place? I might take this out maybe for a second Chateau, just because I really missed it and I needed it. But it's just preference on what the format is.
That's fair.
There's lots of back row, then do that. But
so if anything, it's your flex spot.
Yeah, basically. And then going on to the rest, 3 Crackdown.
How'd this go?
Whenever I drew it, it did come in clutch when it wasn't popped, but that's why I was saying that initially, this deck was all going second, but I was realizing that people would also want to go second as well, so whenever I would draw nothing but kaijus, this is what initially the kaijus were, more of the kaijus, and so I needed something to go second. And so I had this and 3 Compulse. The Compulse was better than the Crackdown, because there are lots of times where they're overextending and pushing for game or for time or something, and then I would just Compulse them at the end, and they had nothing else to do. So these were really good, especially if we're going first, but overall it's really good in this format, specifically Compulse over Crackdown, but this is situational most of the time. So, but yeah, and that's 12, so that's 40 deck.
Yeah, it's interesting how you opted, because typically this deck is like hard on going second, but like you kind of just made like a nice balance between the two.
Right, because the deck can make a good, like basically free wall from one card, and then if you can live through that one turn, then you can just overextend next turn and not have to worry about being stopped by one hand trap. And you can go off next turn with 3 Team Receivers. It can go either way. It's just situational. It's just, I like to invest and go in first just in case if they had a good potential starting field, then I can have something to play around it next turn instead of just summoning magically and have it get negated.
Sure.
So that was the reason why I decided last minute to just have either go in first or go in second. So that was the decision on those 6 traps.
Well, paid off.
Yeah, all right, so I'm going to do the side deck first. MVP when it came to just going into time with that reboot, especially when it just came to the salad matchups. Whenever they would roar, but then I would just chain that and then go off afterwards. But for the most part, other than that, I didn't really see it against the Orcrest matchups. It was just simply just kaijuing their link, and then I could go off after that because they had nothing else. But I would keep this in. This was obviously really good today, especially with this deck. It can easily OTK even under this, so that's the reason why I would keep that. What was also really good was 2 system downs. I would definitely try to place a 3rd if I could. It's just a tight spot right now. But this, if you kaiju Orcrest and then system down, they're almost out of the game, almost entirely. So that's really good, and they can't even grind out, even with the field spell, they can't grind because they'll all get banished anyways. So it's just a really good card. And what's also broken with the extra deck monster, I'll probably show you later, there are lots of things that I can recycle in my own grave back to the deck. There are times where I would use Teacher in my extra, I'll show you later, that I could just shuffle this back just so I can keep it in the deck and use it potentially next couple of rounds. So there's always a use for it, especially with Teacher.
Absolute last call for Yu-Gi-Oh!
The next
If you have not paid,
the Dark Ruler no more. So this was essentially just for Thunder Dragon and anti-meta, with monsters no specialing and all that stuff. But that was mostly all this was for. This was good when it came in clutch, but I would lose against the Thunder Dragon because they had hand traps in Nibiru, so I couldn't do anything against that. But the actual MVP of this all was...
You saw this on stream.
Yeah. So this is amazing, especially against almost all the meta decks now. A lot of the decks can't play around having a kaiju on their field or having their effects blown up because they have lots of monster negates, but they can't do anything against the Dark Hole mostly, except for Orcrest with protection. But that's why I would kaiju first and then possibly do it.
Sell it.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really good. That's why this used to be in the main, but then I was finding issues where I had no plays sometimes or just bricked hard going first. So that's why I took these out for the traps. And that's why they're in the side, but they had to stay in there. But really good. And then the last 3 is Super Poly. So it came in clutch a couple of times,
For Yu-Gi-Oh!
but
3v3, we're missing one
I didn't see it too
to
much.
finalize our
But
final
I definitely
team.
would say
There's
that
one team
when it
missing
did
one
come
player.
in, it did come in clutch
For
because it
Yu-Gi-Oh!
helped. It saved me from time against the Salad player. They were trying to go for game with Phoenix and Sunwolf, and I just Super Poly'd for Mud Dragon. They couldn't do anything after that. But other than that, yeah, it's a solid card this format, but I didn't see it as much as I wanted to. So this is where it gets kind of interesting. So going on to the monsters in the extra deck, 2 Teacher. So this is really good, this format. So for those of you who don't know, the first effect is kind of really irrelevant, but it triggers off the second effect, which is important. But the first effect is you detach, target it, and makes it unaffected by monster effects. And usually what happens is that, it didn't happen today, but once I summon this through my 5th summon and they tried Nibiruing it, I can chain its effect and it becomes unaffected by Nibiru. And then I can still combo off after.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a way that I can open up, do it under 5 summons, and then end with this, Hoot Cake and Ticket, and then they would try to chain, and then I would chain this. Ticket would activate, and I would still search.
Wow. Okay.
So
that's pretty good.
Really good card. And the secondary effect is that whenever Madolche goes to the graveyard, including detachment, I get to trigger non-target shuffle up to 2 cards in either graveyard back to the deck. So that's why I was saying whenever I was talking about system down, I could one of the games where I just shuffled it back into the deck, so that I made sure that I could, if I needed it again. But also what's good is that almost all the decks in this format are just grave reliant. So just because of that, especially at the Orcrest combos, they would try to start off with, you know, Armageddon Knight or something like that, and I would just shuffle back their first monster and one of my monsters, and then plus off of that, usually they can't do anything after that. So Teacher was really good. I just wish it wasn't a rare. But other than that, best card, but I don't have space for 3, unfortunately. And then this one came up a couple times. This is the main monster, Tiramisu. Usually I go into this after I establish a nice field because I know it's going to get stopped. That's why I have 3, because it's bound to happen. I would always need a 3rd one after, you know, negation after negation after negation, since it's a soft once per turn. But overall, it wasn't that bad today. I didn't use it as much as I wanted to. It was mostly control with Teacher. But other than that, you can probably go down to 2 if you wanted to. But it's just, I feel like it was necessary, especially with all the control now. So. And then for the next one, you only need 2 of Chocolate Mode, but it did really come in clutch whenever I was just keeping my monsters in the deck so I could stay in the game. Or if I was skeptical of double or nothing, I would just overlay on top of something just to make sure that I wouldn't lose in time. So, but overall, you would only need 2, just that if in case, if you already have one in the grave, just recycle the other and just keep it going. You don't need 3, especially at how much it costs.
Your round 1 pairings have been posted. Dragon Ball Super 3v3 players. Your round 1 pairings have been posted. You are on the same side of the room as the main event yesterday.
Alright, and so for the next 2 monsters,
please locate the Dragon Ball Super table numbers.
Okay, we're back. Okay, so, and then for the other 2 is Sistart. So I didn't really end first turn with this a whole lot, unless if I absolutely needed to. The main combo is just going first, I would end with Teacher and just special like 4 monsters and just wait until next turn.
The wall.
But if I knew I was facing something that I needed to like withstand a whole bunch of like interruption, like Thunder Dragon, I would need to go into this, so that they would have to like use Titan 3 times and then tech over 3 times or something like that. But then I learned that in my matchup they would always have BLS for it, and then it would just get banished. But so I learned not to end on it. But for the most part, it isn't that bad. It's only if you want to overextend and just, you know, go like 2 Tiramisus or something like that and go for 8,000 damage. But for the most part, I feel like the best ending board is just Teacher again. Best part of the whole extra deck. But yeah, it's necessary to have 2.
Attention Yu-Gi-Oh players, Jacob Garber's registration table. Jacob Garber's.
And then for the other 2 one-ups for links, just Lance First in case if I need to like get out of a super poly target and I need to combo off just in case, or if I need to go down in monsters if they had Mystic Mind, which happened a lot today. A lot of people are using it as a spice, but that's helped out a lot. And then obviously Phoenix for Floodgate, there can be only 1, or Mystic Mind. So it's just stuff like that. Because there are lots of times where it wasn't actually pure Mystic Mind deck, it was just like they had 1 monster and they passed, and I would have to like build down to 4 monsters to 1 monster, and it would have to do it that way and then just go over. But yeah, so these 2 are up in the air. People can do whatever they want with it. It could be a Boral Sword or a Load, whatever. Just preference. And then for the other 4 targets, it's just the main super poly targets. The reason why I chose this is because there were some players that were somewhat smart when it comes to like not having what's it called? There are monsters on the board with a link and the Salad, that's right. Salad usually, if they realize that I have super poly, it would be somewhere where they wouldn't have the link and they would just have a board and they would just sit on that because they would know that I would have that target. But then there were some situations where it did came in, but I didn't have super poly. But in that case, that's when Mud Dragon came in clutch. So, but the most 2 used that I used today were just those 2. But overall, I mean, you can choose whatever you want for the targets. So it's all up in the air. But yeah, Teacher was very clutch today. So
yeah, I was impressed.
It was really good.
Sure, awesome. Thanks so much for the profile, man. I appreciate it.